The cancelled Darth Maul game looked to be one of the most promising single-player Star Wars games ever released. That is, until it was cancelled. A few weeks ago, I was lucky enough to interview Dan Borth, the game's creator, and he gave me some never-before-seen footage of the game, including Darth Maul's Bloodfin speeder bike working in Unreal Engine 4, Darth Maul's Sith Infiltrator, Maul exploring a world similar to Mos Eisley, a probe droid mechanic, and more. You can find that full interview in the top right hand corner. There's a little self-promotion to kick off the video. Hey everyone, it's Andrew. After watching this footage a few times, there are some details I picked up on you might have missed the first time around. Here are 10 details you possibly didn't notice in the new Darth Maul gameplay. First up, I want to take a look at this combat gameplay. Darth Maul is using his double-bladed lightsaber and force powers to fight a group of Mandalorians, and all the Mandalorians are wielding Darksabers. However, if you've watched Clone Wars, you'll know that there's only one Darksaber, created by Tar Vizsla, the first Jedi Mandalorian. After his death, the weapon was kept in the Jedi Temple on Coruscant until it was stolen by members of the House of Vizsla, and after several generations, was passed down to pre-Vizsla. And that's who you're seeing here in this gameplay. You'll notice all the Mandalorians are wearing the same armor, more specifically, the armor of pre-Vizsla. This Darth Maul gameplay here is a combat test, designed to showcase some of the game's mechanics. The Maul game never came close to completion, and a lot of the assets and gameplay created for it were just tests, and this footage here was most likely used to show off a work in progress of the game. And that's why all the Mandalorians have Darksabers and pre-Vizsla's armor. They're copy and pasted to test AI and combat. If the game were to be completed, the Darksabers would most likely be replaced with vibroblades, a common Mandalorian melee weapon, and I'd assume pre-Vizsla would be saved for a boss fight. And different Mandalorian skins would have also been designed, so they don't all just look like pre-Vizsla. If you've watched my interview with Dan Borth, you'll know the Maul game's story was never fully decided on, and at one point the developers were told to make it a tie-in with the Clone Wars, which is exactly what we're seeing explored here. Or perhaps it's an alternate universe where there's an army of pre-Vizslas because he cloned himself and that's who you're actually fighting against. But it seems less likely. Next up, we're going to take a closer look at this world here. Some details pop up you might not have noticed while Darth Maul's probe droid goes exploring. These streets look similar, but not quite the same as Mos Eisley Spaceport on Tatooine. So I asked Dan what this planet actually is. Turns out, it's not fully defined. This map was designed to be a spaceport, similar to either Tatooine or Dantooine. At the moment, it's just kind of a mock Star Wars world that features some noticeable Star Wars characters and species. This here is an IG series droid just hanging out on the streets of this spaceport. The droid doesn't appear to be holding any weaponry, so maybe he's just going for a walk or a stand. Right across from the droid is a Dug, the same species as Sebulba. Their native homeworld is Malastare, and there's a few of this species around the map, challenging people to pod races, calling people Jedi Pujub. We also have a few astromech droids. This one here seems to be escorted by two Phase 2 clone troopers, very important astromech droid, and the clone troopers are more specifically 501st Legion clones. Sitting here next to another Dug is a Gran, also native to Malastare and also the planet Kinyen, and a Gran also participated in the Boonta Eve Classic pod race with Sebulba. This guy was known as Morhonic. He was lucky enough to be called a Slimo by Sebulba, or Slimeball, or whatever he says. I love the way he shouts, Slimeball! The new Darth Maul gameplay shows footage of Darth Maul's starship, the Scimitar, otherwise known as the Sith Infiltrator. But how is this going to be used in gameplay? This Darth Maul game had a lot of unfinished features, lots of big ideas with no clear defined direction. Here you can see a detailed interior and cockpit of the Scimitar, with cockpit controls, buttons, screens, and indicators. Walking around inside the ship, you might compare to Jedi Fallen Order's Stinger Mantis, or Mass Effect 2's Normandy, Normandy. The idea was that the ship acted like a hub, Maul's hideout, where you'd receive instructions from Sidious about your next mission. The ship would hide in space in an asteroid belt, and you'd travel around the galaxy from here. And it's interesting to see how similar this looks to the interior of Battlefront 2 Sith Infiltrator. You'll notice similar red controls and buttons. Love the first-person mode in this game, looks amazing. And the developers had intentions of designing starfighter gameplay and dogfights for this game. Redfly Studio, the developers that worked on the Darth Maul game, had previously built a remaster of X-Wing vs TIE Fighter. This also was never released. But there's starfighter mechanics here that could have been used and upgraded for the Darth Maul game. Now just imagine an updated version of this, which is basically this, in a full Darth Maul game. Now that's a game I want to play. There's one random, very distinct bit of gameplay in the new Darth Maul footage that might leave you a bit confused. This one here. Why is Maul running together with a group of clone troopers who also appear to be 501st Legion clones? Is this something to do with the story of the game, or are they all running from something? The answer to those questions is none of the above. This is a crowd test simulation, and not an actual part of gameplay. It's to test how Maul and the AI move in a crowd, if AI bump into one another, interact with the environment, so the devs can see how all these elements react and behave in this setting and in this situation. There were sections of the Maul game where you'd remain in the shadows, and other times where you'd hide in plain sight, moving amongst groups of AI. There was going to be a strong emphasis on stealth, taking inspiration from Batman Arkham Asylum. But I'd imagine elements of the stealth were going to be similar to what's seen in the Assassin's Creed games, where the assassin moves through crowds and hides in plain sight. That's what we're seeing a test of here. And also possibly how the AI react to changing elements of the game, such as the explosion. This appears to be on a planet or a space station under attack. There's some blaster fire in the distance and other explosions. Something bigger is going on here, and it looks fun. Looks like a world we want to be a part of. Next up, I want to take a look at Maul's speeder bike footage. The planet he's on here looks incredible. Maul rides down this wide open vista. The planet's surface features puddles of water and these dramatic rock formations. He appears to be in some type of valley. Up in the sky are two other nearby planets or moons, unless the planet Maul's on is actually a moon. I spent a little time trying to figure out what planet this actually is, until I just asked Dan himself and found out once again that it's not actually a real planet. As in, it doesn't exist in Star Wars canon or the expanded universe. It could be a real planet in real life, who knows? Billions of planets out there. But for our purpose, it's just a mock world created by the game devs to test the speeder bike physics and mechanics. But it's one heck of a stunning mock world. It first actually reminded me of Pilio from Battlefront 2 because of the color scheme. Grey-brown rock formations, puddles of blue water, blue sky. There's also a crashed ship on the ground up here, which I can't really make out. Can't really figure out what ship this is. Could be an X-Wing, an A-Wing, who knows? I'd love to see this world created for a future Star Wars game or title, and would love to be able to explore more of its stunning landscape. It looks incredible. What would a Star Wars game be without Aurebesh? This is the galactic language of the Star Wars universe, seen all over the galaxy, and the Maul game contains some Aurebesh, which I'm going to spend the time translating for you now. First up, the probe droid translations. These are seen on the monitor of the probe droid. This says LFBB. Is that an I or an L? I think it's an I. IFBBGHDJ. Down here, it says BBADAC, but the letters are mirrored. I don't know why they're mirrored, they're backwards. BBGHDJB is what this says, and this says FDBDGFI. So I'm assuming all this is just probe droid code. I'm kind of disappointed it doesn't actually say anything real here. There's also a language on this door here that Maul's walking away from. This doesn't look like Aurebesh to me, and if I had to take a wild guess, I'd say it has something to do with the Black Sun criminal syndicate, but that's a random guess. It could be literally anything. Anything. It's probably something that you guys know. I just don't know. If you guys know what this is, please tell me. You might have noticed Darth Maul's legs in this game. Obviously, everyone knows Maul loses his legs, and everyone thought he lost his life in The Phantom Menace when he fights Obi-Wan, and then he came back in the Clone Wars, but that's great. It's great. Everyone loves Maul, so I'm not complaining. And after this, he built spider legs out of scrap he found himself on the junk planet Loto Minor. Then Mother Talzin used Night Sister magic to give Maul legs made out of parts from old Separatist droids. And then on the planet Zanbar, medical droids healed Maul and replaced the droid legs with humanoid mechanical legs. And these are the legs we see in the Darth Maul game. Maul also has the same torso plate attaching his legs to his upper body, and there was a point where the game devs had to work on giving Maul more mechanical legs, as seen in some of the concept art. The game was originally a Maul origin story taking place before the Phantom Menace, then it became a Clone Wars game, then a game set way into the future, so there were multiple designs for Maul's legs. And I wonder if in the game you could actually customize his legs, go leg shopping for Maul. Now, that's a customization option we need in a Star Wars game. I want to be able to customize the legs Maul has. There are a few more details I want to draw your attention to in the spaceport map, specifically a few starships. The most prominent of those is this Theta-class T-2C shuttle, used by Palpatine in Revenge of the Sith. You know, when he goes to Mustafar to save Anakin. It's possible a lot of the models you see here were pre-built assets, ported into this demo. Remember, Redfly Studio had previously worked on the Wii version of The Force Unleashed 2, along with this X-Wing vs TIE Fighter unfinished game. And some of the devs at Redfly had also previously worked on Star Wars Galaxies, so with all these games combined, there were bound to be some pre-existing Star Wars assets and models, which could be used for the Darth Maul game. And I think that's what happened here and why all of these elements are just kind of pasted into this world. There's also this giant Corellian Corvette, possibly the Tantive 4, docked up here in the spaceport. Really cool seeing this ship to scale. I feel like I've never properly realized how big this ship actually is. One thing I think looks so promising about this Darth Maul game is Maul's lightsaber combat. He feels and moves like Maul. The double-bladed lightsaber mechanics look satisfying even in their early stages. And one thing you might not have noticed is that when performing certain moves, Maul appears to briefly slow down time, or rather the game slows down time to show Maul in combat and to make some of his combat moves smoother and appear more powerful. It's most noticeable when Maul is in the air doing a flip. Time briefly slows and Maul appears suspended in the air. This is a mechanic popular in third-person combat games and can be similarly seen in the Batman Arkham series, which is what a lot of this gameplay was based on. There's a fluidity with which Maul fights in this gameplay. He dodges, jumps, spins in all directions, strings together attack combos, uses force push on single or multiple enemies, and also has this attack which I'm calling Soul Crush. Maul lifts the enemy into the air, then slams them into the ground. And the depth of fighting mechanics in this game, I think, are also reflected in Dawn of Fire, which is another unreleased game from Redfly Studio. This game was being built with the same combat mechanics built for Maul, and you can see the fluidity of movement here. Brutal looking game. Imagine this for Maul. Now there's one specific moment in this combat gameplay I want to share with you guys that I completely missed until I watched this footage in slow motion. Watch this. Maul is fighting two Mandalorians, one in front and one behind. Maul performs a guard break on the Mando behind him and then suddenly slashes backwards, sending the Mando's body backwards and taking off his head. Absolutely brutal. Just amazing. Just look at the ragdoll effects here. I'd like to know if there's one detail you could include in a Darth Maul game, what would it be? Let me know in the comments. And for details on Maul's origin story, the game developers meeting with George Lucas, and why the game got cancelled, go watch my interview with the creator of the Darth Maul game. It's pretty insightful. It's all in that video. And you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Discord for details on some upcoming giveaways. I'm going to try give away a few games on those platforms, so come follow me for details on that. I'll post them soon. And thanks for watching this. My name's Andrew. I'll catch you soon.
Stay bombastic.